And here we go. Basically, we have covered for heat and the various ways we feel the heat around us and the different methods of measuring heat. That means we can use either clinical thermometer or the laboratory thermometer. The ways and means to use those thermometers also we have completed. Now today we are going to understand about the transfer of heat. Transfer of heat means when you keep, for example, you keep a cold spoon in hot milk, it turns hot. The spoon was not hot initially, but once you had put in the hot liquid, it may be milk or maybe any other hot liquid, maybe heat, a warm heat, the spoon becomes hot. This is first way of transfer of heat from one object to the other, and this transfer of heat has got its own name, that is conduction. The term is conduction. Basically, transfer of heat takes place using three different methods. We are going to cover all the three: conduction, convection, and radiation. Today we are going to cover conduction. And in conduction, what are we supposed to cover basically? That where this conduction takes place. Conduction is going to take place only in the cases wherein the objects are in solid state. Solid state. That means from one object to the other, if they are in a solid state. Hot spoon, or maybe a hot object, one container that is hot, and you bring another container and touch to that, then automatically the heat gets transferred from the object that is hotter to the object that is cooler. Garam object से ठंडे object को, the transfer of heat is known as conduction. ये solids में ही होगा. This is only going to take place in solids. Okay, we are going to write down few lines, and then I am going to start explaining you certain activities. If by chance it happens that before your completing I am going to rub the board, you can basically go for taking a screenshot of it. Okay, so to begin with, there is a standard rule that
Ma'am, your video is blurred.
Goes from hotter objects to
Ma'am, your video is blurred.
objects. That is the standard rule, that is always going to flow from hotter to the colder objects.
Ma'am,
Now this question must come to my mind, that is it the case that always it will go from hot to cold? Yes. What if the temperature of both the objects is same? If the temperature of both the objects is same, then definitely there is no net flow of heat. If two objects are at the same temperature, then definitely the transfer of heat will not take place between them. No net flow. Remember that. So one should be at a higher temperature and the other object should be at the lower temperature. Then only the heat will flow from the object at higher temperature to the object at lower temperature. Now this definition, of course, the process by which the definition of conduction, and then we will be dealing with an activity. What is conduction basically? Conduction is the process by which heat is transferred the process by which heat is transferred from the hotter end from the hotter end to the colder end of an object to the colder end of an object is known as conduction. Is known as conduction.
Ma'am, your screen is blurred.
A
Ma'am,
solids
screen is blurred.
What is blur?
Ma'am, your
Ma'am,
screen
your
is
screen
blurred.
is blur.
in solids,
Board is blur.
when heat is transferred through conduction. Generally, it is so. See, if I am holding the spoon in my hands here, if I am holding a spoon or a metallic scale in my hands, and if I touch one end
Ma'am, your screen is
of this
blurred.
scale, if I touch this on a flame, if I do that, what will happen is, I am hitting one end of the scale, metallic scale, but after some time I can feel the heat at this corner also. Remember that. From one end to the other end. It goes this way only. The transfer of heat takes place this way. One end to the other end. This is conduction because scale, metallic scale is solid. And to tell you the fact, if any example is asked in your exam, because next step we are going to deal with an activity which clearly says that activity that you are supposed to identify the conductors and the insulators. I have brought certain examples with me. I am going to show you those and you are going to identify and tell me. But before that, this conduction concept must be clear. The definition that I had written over there is that if it has to go from one end to the other, it can travel. That is only conduction. And this we can compare with a steel spoon also. Once you are putting in the hot well, the heat gets transferred to the other end and you feel hot in your fingers. Now there is this activity number 4.6. What are they explaining in that? This activity can be even done at home. You can take the part of old antenna or the scale, and in that you can stick
Hello.
some small nails, iron nails you can stick. See, this activity I am discussing from page number 40. Page number 40,
Ma'am,
activity
screen is
number
blurred.
4.6. Now, if you attach all the nails one by one, and here if you take up aluminium rod, or you take up the metallic scale itself, and in that you attach some iron nails with wax.
Ma'am, screen is not
Wax
clear.
will take, and we can take the small nails, dip it in wax, and try to
I cannot see anything.
these are attached with the help of little bit of wax. Now we start heating this end. This is A end and this is B, and start providing heat to the end B. Slowly what happens is, first of all, I'm labeling these nails as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The moment I start heating, what
Ma'am,
happens is
ma'am,
that
board is there.
first and the foremost, nail 1 will fall down because we are heating from that end. So nail 1 will fall down, and once the heat start getting transferred, here we are keeping the nails, the heat only at the one end. So the heat is getting transferred from 1 to 2. That means this also gets heated up the end now. The second nail will fall down. You keep heating it further and further. Slowly, all the nails will fall down in the sequence. Remember, kids, we are not changing the location of the heat. We are not changing the location of the heat. The location of the heat remains same. But slow and steady, what happens? All the nails will fall down, indicating that heat is getting transferred from one end to the other. You have written this, I hope. This is your activity number 4.6.
My screen is very blur. I cannot see anything.
And after this, we have activity number
Please see
4.7.
the chat box.
Activity number 4.7 we have.
मैम मैम मैं अपने अभी ये जो डायग्राम शो किया है वो कौन सी एक्टिविटी का है? ठीक है.
Is it clear now? Is the board clear, kids?
Yes, ma'am. पर लास्ट पैराग्राफ द प्रोसेस बाय विच से लेकर
Completed?
कंडक्शन तक लिखा होता है.
Yeah. There is no harm in telling you these things again by the time you are writing it. We have written the definition of conduction. That is the transfer of heat in any of the object from one end to the next end. After that, we have discussed activity number 4.6. 4.6 says that we can take up either this scale iron scale or any metallic scale, or maybe the remaining part of old antennas that we had. This aluminium hollow rod, you can say, that also you can use. And on that you can attach, with the help of wax, you can attach the nails this way. Using some wax at the back of the nail, you can attach them. 1, 2, 3, for example. At home, you can do that. And after that, you may supply the heat from one end. That maybe you can do that holding this with the help of any cloth. And here you can keep any candle. The moment you start heating, the heat will be transferred from this end. This end, the end B will get heated first. And it is going to transfer the heat to the first nail. The wax melts down and of course it falls down. The nail falls down. Slow and steady, the heat gets transferred from 1 to 2, so on and so forth. It reaches to 6. The nail which receives the heat, we have wax at the top of it. The wax melts down and the nail falls down. That's a clear indication when the nails will start falling down. That's an indication that heat is getting transferred from end B to end A. That's what activity 4.6 is all about. Talking about 4.7. Activity number 4.7. You can take a screenshot of this, kids. Now we are going to deal with activity number 4.7. That activity clearly reveals the difference between conductors and insulators. Take a screenshot if you have not done. Now about this activity number 4.7. In your table, there is this table number 4.3. Table number 4.3. They have written certain columns. One column they had completely filled up. That is article is steel spoon. The material made up of course, it is made up of steel. And the last column says, does the other end gets hot? The answer will be yes. Why? Because in case of conductors, the heat will get transferred from one end to the other. The poor conductors are also known as insulators. Talking about the fact, there is nothing like, once you go to the higher classes, you will come to know that there is nothing like an insulator. But at your level, yes, we can categorize the materials as conductors and insulators. Basically, once you go to the higher classes, you will come to know that they are either good conductors or bad conductors. But right now, yeah, we are going to classify the objects as conductors and insulators. Those which can transfer the heat from one end to the other, they will be, of course, conductors. And keeping your eyes closed, you can always make a tick mark wherein the object is made up of a metal. If an object is made up of metal, that object definitely will be a good conductor. And if an object is not made up of metal, it is made up of either wood, plastic, then in those cases it will be an insulator. Okay? Now I am going to show you certain objects. First of all, I am going to write down the definition of conductors and insulators, and side by side I am going to show you certain objects. You are supposed to write down the names of those objects in that table and complete it accordingly. We are going to discuss those objects here also. So beginning with definition of conductors.
Blur. Ma'am, board is blur.
The objects
No, ma'am.
पोस्ट ब्लर नहीं है, ठीक है ना?
that allow
Ma'am,
मुझे तो
board is not blur.
heat and electricity.
My load बिल्कुल
Because
blur
this
नहीं
chapter
है.
is based on heat, so in chapter they have mentioned only the term heat. But basically they do conduct electricity also. To pass through them are known as conductors. Are known as conductors. For example, all metals. All metals. It may be aluminium. These are the commonmost metals around us. Aluminium, iron, copper, etc. And we are talking about insulators now. Just a bit of a change in the definition. Same definition I'm going to write down with a slight change in its language. The objects that do not allow heat and electricity to pass through them easily are known as insulators. For example, wood, rubber, plastic, etc. Now, by the time we are doing that, one thing we can correlate right now. I want you to write down these objects' name in the table. You will be writing this below. You are going to see there is only below the steel spoon only one gap they had given. You are supposed to write down all those and make this table in the fair notebook. I am showing you. If you cannot complete this before the completion of the class, better you take a screenshot. And here, be attentive. Let's see. You are going to give me the answer to this. Here, I am showing you something on the screen. Let's have an activity wherein we are going to identify the conductors and the insulators. This is of course a plastic scale. And plastic scale is supposed to be an insulator. That means for the first column, below the steel spoon, in table number 4.3, I will be writing plastic scale. In front of it, it says the material which it is made up of. Then what am I supposed to write down? Plastic. And last column, does the other end of the object gets hot? The answer will be no. That means this is if you are writing in table number 4.3, 3 columns. The first one just below the steel spoon, you will be writing plastic scale. Next column, plastic. The last column, no. This way you are supposed to write for all these entities I am going to show you right now. There are objects which I am going to show you right now. So the first, yeah, in notebook, of course. Right now you mention in the book itself, and then you can create the same table in your pen. I had shown you plastic scale. Now this is a metal scale. Metal scale.
Yes.
Next category after that is metal scale. So you will be writing here as a metal scale made up of, this is made up of steel. That means in the last column, the answer will be yes. We are supposed to write down according to the table beta. Okay? Clear it is? Chirag? Clear? First column, steel scale. Second column, steel or metallic scale, and next column steel. And the last one will be yes, because it is going to conduct. Let's see. What do I have here? Pencil. So, what I'm supposed to write down in the first one? Pencil. Next, we are going to write it as, yes, it is an insulator, but जो बोला जा रहा है उसको पहले check करिए. That's what you are supposed to write in the table. The first one is pencil. Yes, Vivek is right. The second one will be wood. And the last one, last column, it will be no. It is not going to conduct heat or electricity. Correct. Okay. This what I am showing you here is again wooden block. This is wooden block. Wooden piece, you can say wooden block. The first column will be wooden block. The second column, you will be writing it as wood. Wood will be the second column. The third column will be no. Azram, you are supposed to write according to the table. I am repeating again. First column, you are supposed to write down wooden block. The second column, wood. The third column, no. Yeah, we all know that wherever we are mentioning it as no, all of them are insulators. And wherever you are mentioning them as yes, all of them are conductors. As per the definition also we have on board. Correct? Next after that. This is glass rod. I repeat, glass rod. First column, glass rod. Second column, glass. It's made up of glass. And definitely, the answer to the third column will be no. Glass is a poor conductor. Glass is an insulator. Those who have not given me the correct answer, let me show you one more. This is what we call as test tube. Test tube, first column. Yes, test tube, second column will be, it's made up of glass. Yes, it is an insulator. So the answer for this in the third column will be no. Then after that, we have enough discussed about the metal spoon. Let me give you an example of a plastic spoon. Plastic spoon. Second column will be plastic. And the third column will say no, meaning plastic spoon being made up of plastic is also an insulator. Now here we have your favorite eraser. Eraser. Or maybe the sharpener. Sharpener, of course, this end is made up of metal. This end, this blade is made up of metal. But if you are talking about its body, specifically, sharpener body is made up of plastic and that is a poor conductor. Okay, again it will not conduct, the answer will be no. And here what I'm showing you is actually a rubber cork. If you can recollect yesterday when I had shown you the laboratory thermometer, it was stuck on that laboratory thermometer. Laboratory thermometer had this. This is a rubber cork. The name of this one will be rubber cork, C-O-R-K. And the material it is made up of is rubber. And of course, it's an insulator, so last column will say no. This, we call it as test tube holder. Actually, while conducting the test in the lab, we hold the test tube like this, the help of it. What I'm asking you here is, you need not write if you don't want, it's okay. It has got two parts in it. The part that I am holding right now here, this is made up of wood. Will it be a conductor or insulator? This part which I am holding, if I am heating the test tube, I am holding this part in my hands. So the part which I am holding is made up of wood. It has to be an insulator, then only I can heat the objects. Same thing happens in case of pressure cooker or any frying pan. The black handle is actually an insulator, bakelite, and it does not allow the heat to reach there. And this part, right from here to here, the clamp of it, it's actually made up of metal. So this is a conductor. Clear? The instrument you are seeing over here, I'm holding, is actually known as test tube holder. Test tube को hold करने वाला test tube holder. Clear? And of course, one which you had seen n number of times is the last one, duster. Duster is actually made up of wood and it's also an insulator. From duster, I can recall, I may be using this as a duster in my classroom, this one. This duster is also used in homes. And this duster is made up of cloth. And cloth is also an insulator. Cloth is also an insulator. So the category of insulators, if I am holding all together, all these were insulators. All these. The plastic spoon, the pencil, the cloth, the plastic scale, rubber cork, or the wooden block, all of them, insulators. Okay? And conductors were, of course, yeah, glass was also an insulator. I gave you that example. Your this sharpener also, and metallic scale, good conductor. Now, the last question of the day. This identify. What exactly is the thing I'm holding in my hands? Has to be chalk. Good conductor or a poor conductor? Good conductor or a poor conductor? This is an absolute insulator. Completely, it blocks the passage of heat and electricity. It's made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, this is also an insulator. So with that, we come to the end of discussion here about this topic of conductors and insulators and the conduction process. Keep learning, kids, and we'll continue this chapter in my next lecture. Thank you.